The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserts India undertook structural reforms amidst global pandemic to usher in revolutionary changes in the country. Prime Minister launches Jan Andolan campaign on COVID-19 appropriate behavior, urges people to wear a mask, wash hands and follow social distancing. Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadauria says Indian Air Force demonstrates its resolve, operational capability and will to effectively engage with the adversary when the need arises. In Bihar, filing of nominations ends for first phase of state assembly elections. And in IPL cricket, match between Sunrisers Hyderabad and Kings 11 Punjab underway in Dubai. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now on to the news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has hailed the Trinity reforms in the field of labour, education and agriculture and asserted that India undertook structural reforms amidst the global pandemic to usher in revolutionary changes in the country. Addressing the Invest India conference in Canada through video conferencing today, the Prime Minister said the reforms introduced by the government has resulted in substantial improvement in the country's ranking in terms of ease of doing business. Highlighting the key markers of the huge surge in FDI in the country during 2019, he said the country has decriminalized many provisions in the Companies Act.
We have undertaken significant reforms for developing a robust bond market. We have come up with incentive schemes for champion sectors. Schemes in sectors like in pharma, medical devices and electronic manufacturing have already been in operation. We want to ensure high level attention and effective hand-holding for investors.
Mr. Modi said the country emerged as a pharmacy center of the world during the pandemic and extended assistance to over 150 countries around the world by ensuring supplies of life-saving drugs.
We want to help the entire world when it comes to vaccine production for COVID-19. The India story is strong today and stronger tomorrow.
The Prime Minister said New India has an opportunity for everyone, underlining the change in mindset and perception of everyone regarding the country. He said India has all the necessary vitals which make it a lucrative investment destination. Mr. Modi said the vibrant democracy, stability of government, transparency in business and availability of large market in the country ensures predictable return for all investors.
There is an opportunity for everyone, institutional investors, manufacturers, supporters of innovations, ecosystems and infrastructure companies. There is an opportunity to invest, to set up units and to run businesses. There is an opportunity to partner with our private sector and with the government. There is an opportunity to earn as well as learn. Not only that, as well as to lead. There is an opportunity to grow.
He enumerated how the government has taken care of citizens in the country amid the pandemic by readily making food available to nearly 800 million people. He said around 400 million people were benefited by direct cash transfers in recent times, which established that robust structural changes have been made for complete overhauling of systems. Underlining India's resilience, the Prime Minister said the country has emerged as a land of solutions at a time when the whole world has been reeling under the effects of the pandemic.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today launched a campaign on Jan Andolan for COVID-19 appropriate behavior in view of the upcoming festivals and winter season as well as the opening up of the economy. In a tweet, Mr. Modi appealed to people to unite to fight corona. He urged the people to always remember to wear a mask, wash hands, follow social distancing by maintaining 2 gaz ki duri. He said, "Together we will succeed and win against COVID-19. The Prime Minister said, India's COVID-19 fight is people-driven and gets great strength from our COVID warriors. He said, our collective efforts have helped save many lives. Mr. Modi said, we have to continue the momentum and protect our citizens from the virus. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his last Mann Ki Baat program, reminded people to always wear a mask and not to venture out without a face shield.
कोरोना के इस कालखंड में मैं फिर एक बार आपको याद कराऊंगा, मास्क अवश्य रखें, फेस कवर के बिना बाहर न जाएं, 2 गज की दूरी का नियम आपको भी बचा सकता है, आपके परिवार को भी बचा सकता है। ये कुछ नियम हैं, इस कोरोना के खिलाफ लड़ाई के हथियार हैं, हर नागरिक के जीवन को बचाने के मजबूत साधन है और हम न भूलें, जब तक दवाई नहीं तब तक ढिलाई नहीं।
A concerted action plan will also be implemented by central government ministries and departments and state governments and union territories with region-specific targeted communication in high caseload districts. Proper dissemination of precautionary measures on all media platforms throughout the country will be put out. Informing about the campaign, Minister for Information and Broadcasting Prakash Javadekar said that special focus will be laid on simple and easily understandable messages so that they can reach every citizen. President Ramnath Kovind has urged fellow citizens to unite in the fight against COVID-19. He appealed to wear a mask, wash hands and practice social distancing. Mr. Kovind said the nation stands united to defeat COVID-19 through collective determination and discipline. He added that together we will fight, we will win. Olympian Milkha Singh has also appealed to people to follow the social distancing and other norms to fight COVID-19.
कोरोना से बचने के लिए हमें अपना मुंह और नाक जो है वो बंद रखनी चाहिए, कपड़े से ढकनी चाहिए। जब आप किसी से बात करते हैं तो कम से कम 2-3 गज की दूरी होनी चाहिए ताकि आपका और उसका सांस जो है आपस में न मिल पाए। अपने हाथ जो है वो बार बार धोते रहिए। तो इसके अलावा मैं आप लोगों से और चीज सजेस्ट करना चाहता हूं कि अगर कोरोना से बचना है तो एक्सरसाइज आदमी के लिए बहुत जरूरी है।
In Madhya Pradesh, Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has commended the Jan Andolan for COVID-19 appropriate behavior launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi through Twitter to prevent the corona epidemic. More from our correspondent.
Virtually inaugurating about 13,000 rural roads in Minto Hall of the capital Bhopal today, Shri Chauhan said that till the corona vaccine comes, the mask is the vaccine.
वैक्सीन भी आने वाली जल्दी आ जाए, लेकिन जब तक वैक्सीन ना आए तब तक मास्क ही वैक्सीन है।
About 1,44,000 employees and officers of the various departments of the state government took an oath today to adopt measures to prevent the coronavirus. 61,900 employees and officers of health department of the state also took a pledge to spread awareness. Employees and officers in the offices of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, All India Radio, PIB, ROB and Doordarshan also took an oath to spread awareness about protection against corona. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
The iconic black and yellow taxis are the lifeline of the maximum city of Mumbai. Now, with the awareness campaign on COVID-19 taking the shape of a Jan Andolan, the taxi drivers too have become part of this movement. Informative pamphlets have been pasted in the taxis to make people aware about the do's and don'ts to prevent COVID-19 infection. More from our Mumbai correspondent.
The Maharashtra Vatuk Sena Taxi Drivers Union has started an initiative wherein they have put up banners across the taxi stands in South Mumbai to create awareness among the drivers and passengers on ways to stay safe and prevent COVID-19 spread. The banner and pamphlets essentially talk about the importance of social distancing, avoiding visits to high-risk zones, wearing masks and washing hands regularly. Through this initiative, the Maharashtra Vatuk Sena has also distributed basic safety material like masks along with banners and pamphlets to over 500 taxi drivers and plan to reach 3,500 drivers soon. Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
With the launch of Jan Andolan campaign for COVID-19 appropriate behavior by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh and others took a pledge to take necessary precautions to prevent the spread of the deadly virus. More from our Imphal correspondent.
Chief Minister N. Biren pledged to follow the COVID-19 appropriate behaviors and encourage others to follow the same to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. In a video message, Chief Minister appealed to the people of Manipur to follow the key COVID-19 appropriate behaviors, including wearing of face masks, maintaining a minimum distance of 6 feet from others, and washing hands frequently. Governor Dr. Najma Heptullah also appealed to follow the 3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. The pledge to follow the COVID-19 appropriate behaviors were taken at many places. JJ Thoksom from Imphal for AIR News.
A cross-section of society shared their views on the Jan Andolan campaign on COVID.
मैं रुमा देवी आप सभी से निवेदन करती हूँ कि वर्तमान में कोरोना महामारी के बढ़ते प्रकोप के कारण सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग का पालन करते हुए मास्क का नियमित रूप से उपयोग करें।
मैं विश्व मोहन भट्ट, मेरी उम्र 70 साल है और मैं करीब 7 महीने से बाहर नहीं निकला हूँ, अपने घर पे ही हूँ। जरूरी बात यह है कि जब तक बहुत आवश्यक न हो हम अपने घरों से न निकलें।
हम अहमद हुसैन, मोहम्मद हुसैन सार्वजनिक स्थानों पर जाने से पूर्व मास्क को लगाएं, क्योंकि मास्क हमारा सुरक्षा कवच है।
कहीं बेवजह ना फिरा करो, सभी अपने घर में रहा करो। ये कोरोना दुश्मन जान है, जरा फासले से मिला करो।
Head of Endocrinology Department of All India Institute of Medical Sciences AIIMS, Delhi, Dr. Nikhil Tandon has stressed the need to follow 3 steps to keep the coronavirus away.
Wearing a mask, and that means wearing a mask properly, covering the nose and the mouth, number 1. Number 2, hand washing, so that even if there is a contact with a COVID-infected surface, that is not transferred to face or the mouth. And number 3, as best possible, maintain a social distance so that there is less likelihood of transmission by airborne virus.
Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadauria today said that the Indian Air Force has demonstrated its resolve, operational capability and will to effectively engage with the adversary when the need arises. Addressing the 88th anniversary of the Air Force, Mr. Bhadauria said the Indian Air Force deployed its combat assets at short notice to handle any eventuality and provided proactive support to all the requirements of deployment and sustenance for the Indian Army. On the preparedness of the Indian Air Force, he said, emerging security scenario mandates a great need to have strong IAF to fight across domains across the entire spectrum of the warfare. The President, Vice President and the Prime Minister and Defence Minister have greeted all Air Force personnel on this occasion.
In West Bengal, the youth wing of the Bharatiya Janata Party organized a protest rally outside Nabonno, the West Bengal Secretariat in Howrah district today. When protesters were blocked, they tried to move forward and police retaliated with lathi charge and tear gas. Several BJP workers, including State Vice President Raju Banerjee, were injured in the clash. Leaders like Arjun Singh, Kailash Vijayvargiya, Lokit Chatterjee and Mukul Roy were among those present on the spot. BJP leader Kailash Vijayvargiya alleged that when they were protesting democratically, the police tried to turn the peaceful demonstration into a violent protest. The BJP's Nabonno Cholo agitation is a protest against the alleged killing of party workers in West Bengal under the Mamata Banerjee-led government. Security officials were stationed in large numbers outside the BJP state headquarters this morning. State police used a drone to keep a vigil on the protesting BJP workers. Meanwhile, the state government had announced yesterday that all the offices in the Secretariat building will be shut for 2 days for sanitization purpose. The BJP has attacked the West Bengal government over the violence during the party's march in Kolkata. Talking to reporters in New Delhi today, senior party leader and Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad condemned the incident, alleging that those who protest are either implicated in the case or harassed by the state government.
We don't believe in violence at all. लेकिन हाँ, लोकतंत्र में शांतिपूर्ण प्रदर्शन करना हमारा अधिकार है और इस पर इस तरह से बर्बरता से लाठी चलाई जाए, हमारे राष्ट्रीय स्तर के पदाधिकारियों को घायल किया जाए, हमारे प्रदेश स्तर के पदाधिकारी हॉस्पिटल में हों, महिलाओं के साथ बदसलूकी की जाए, लगभग 1 लाख से ऊपर के कार्यकर्ताओं और समर्थकों की भीड़ थी वहां पर, तो हम इसकी बहुत भर्त्सना करते हैं। बंगाल के लोगों को हम बहुत विनम्रता से आश्वस्त करना चाहते हैं कि बंगाल में बदलाव के लिए बीजेपी सतत तैयार रहेगी।
Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri today said government has facilitated the repatriation and international travel of over 20 lakh people through different means since 6th of May. Interacting with media persons in New Delhi today, Mr. Puri said that under Vande Bharat mission, over 17 lakh people have travelled back to India and nearly 3 lakh people have travelled out of India. Speaking about international travel, Mr. Puri informed that the government has formalized air bubble arrangements with 16 countries like USA, Canada, France, Germany, UK, Maldives, UAE, Qatar, Afghanistan, Bahrain, Japan, Nigeria, Kenya, Iraq, Bhutan and Oman. He added that the government is in discussion with Italy, Bangladesh, Kazakhstan, Ukraine and others for similar arrangements. Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri has said Lifeline Udan has played an important role in supplying essential goods across the country during the COVID-19 pandemic. Addressing the media in New Delhi, Mr. Puri said,
Vande Bharat is actually a bridging arrangement between a situation of complete lockdown and no activity and complete opening up of civil aviation.
The minister further said that around 2,000 tons of medical equipment and other medical supplies have been imported from foreign countries and more than 30 tons have been supplied to other countries by India. He said total 940 tons of cargo have been supplied across the country through Lifeline Udan.
Mumbai police today made a startling revelation of private channels tampering with television rating points TRP to gain fake TRPs. Talking to the media, Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh said 3 private channels have been found to tamper with TRP ratings. Singh said 2 persons, including an ex-employee of the research agency, have been arrested. Police chief said the top officials of the channel would be summoned tomorrow for questioning. The commissioner said channels have manipulated the viewership report from the TRP meters installed at various places to earn false rating points. He said this is an offence under the law as the channels with false augmented TRP ratings lured advertisers to gain commercial bookings at higher rates. Singh said the investigation is on to find if more channels are also involved in the crime.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserts India undertook structural reforms amidst global pandemic to usher in revolutionary changes in the country. Prime Minister launches Jan Andolan campaign on COVID-19 appropriate behavior, urges people to wear mask, wash hands and follow social distancing. Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadauria says Indian Air Force demonstrates its resolve, operational capability and will to effectively engage with the adversary when the need arises. In Bihar, filing of nominations ends for first phase of state assembly elections. And in IPL cricket match between Sunrisers Hyderabad and Kings 11 Punjab underway in Dubai. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. Wear face mask, 2 gaz ki duri to maintain social distancing, maintain hand and face hygiene.
In Bihar, filing of nomination process ended today for the first phase of state assembly elections in 71 constituencies. A large number of candidates of many major political parties like BJP, RJD, Congress, LJP, RLSP, Vikashsheel Insan Party and Hindustani Awam Morcha filed their nominations on the last day. The scrutiny of nomination papers will be held tomorrow. The last date for withdrawal of candidature is the 12th of this month and polling will be held on the 28th of October. More from our correspondent.
In the first phase, the LJP, who recently snapped the alliance with NDA, has fielded 42 candidates opposing all contestants of Chief Minister Nitish Kumar-led JDU. This was earlier announced by the LJP President Chirag Paswan. The prominent candidates who filed their nominations are former Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi, former Speaker of State Assembly Uday Narayan Chaudhary, State Agriculture Minister Prem Kumar, and Land Reform and Revenue Minister Ram Narayan Mandal. In the nomination process, only 10 candidates used online mode for submitting their documents of candidature. The option has been provided for candidates as a precautionary measures to COVID-19. Dharmendra Kumar Rai, AIR News, Patna.
News just in, Union Minister and Lok Janshakti Party LJP patron Ram Vilas Paswan passed away this evening. Chirag Paswan, son of Mr. Ram Vilas Paswan and also an LJP leader, informed about the demise in a tweet message. Mr. Paswan, who was 74 years old and was in active politics for more than 5 decades, was hospitalized a few weeks ago. He underwent a heart surgery due to sudden developments last Saturday. Election fever has gripped Karnataka with the contest for 2 seats of the Legislative Assembly and 4 seats of the Legislative Council gaining momentum. 2 of the graduate constituencies and 2 of teachers' constituencies will go to polls on October the 28th. Both the assembly segment of R.R. Nagar and Sira will go to the polls on November the 3rd. More from our correspondent.
The 4 seats of Legislative Council are important for the ruling party BJP as it lacks a majority in the upper house. In the House of 75, BJP has 23 members and a chairman, Congress 31 and JDS 11. There are 5 independents and 4 seats are vacant. In the 2 assembly segments going to the polls, triangular fight is foreseen. Congress wants to retain R.R. Nagar and gain Sira that it lost to JDS in the previous election. The R.R. Nagar previous MLA N. Muniratna of Congress has now joined BJP and is likely to get a ticket. BJP is yet to announce its candidates for R.R. Nagar and Sira. Assembly by-election results will not have any bearing on existence of the BJP government, but the party position in the House will vary. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
The government today said that the country's recovery rate among COVID-19 patients has reached 85.25%. During the last 24 hours, 83,011 COVID patients have recovered. Health Ministry said the total number of recoveries has reached 58,27,704. The ministry said the constantly increasing recoveries have ensured that the actual caseload of the country has reduced and currently comprises only 13.20% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 9,02,425. Currently, India's case fatality rate is at 1.54%. The total number of positive cases has now reached 68,35,655. In the last 24 hours, 971 deaths were reported, taking the toll to 1,05,526. In Chennai, the second phase of the Zero Survey on COVID-19 has been launched today. The Tamil Nadu Principal Health Secretary Dr. J. Radhakrishnan told reporters it will be expanded throughout the state in the next 10 days. Meanwhile, the active COVID caseload in the state has further dipped to 44,437. The total mortality crossed 10,000 today. More from our correspondent.
The Zero Survey helps determine the magnitude of the exposure of the public to the SARS-CoV-2 virus that causes the pandemic COVID-19. In Chennai, the second edition of the survey is being focused on Hutmans, where the population density is more. The Health Principal Secretary Dr. Radhakrishnan, while talking to reporters, expressed concern that there is an overall complacency among the public that are visible in wearing face masks, which he warned would spoil the gains reached in controlling the pandemic due to the relentless efforts so far. The Chennai Corporation Commissioner Prakash said nearly 20% of the city population have been tested for COVID-19 using the RT-PCR kits so far. The total number of tests in the state capital is inching closer to 16 lakh and the officials are planning to further intensify the testing. Jai Singh, AR News, Chennai.
Afghanistan's top peace negotiator Abdullah Abdullah today met Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The ongoing peace initiative to bring back stability in war-ravaged Afghanistan was discussed by the leaders. Following the meeting, Mr. Abdullah tweeted that PM Modi assured him of India's continued support for the peace process in Afghanistan. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Anurag Srivastava said PM Modi reaffirmed India's long-term commitment to further deepen ties with Afghanistan. Mr. Abdullah is in Delhi on a 5-day visit as part of the efforts to build a regional consensus and support for the Afghan peace process. Yesterday, Mr. Abdullah held extensive talks with the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. India has been supporting a national peace and reconciliation process which is Afghan-led, Afghan-owned and Afghan-controlled. BJP President J.P. Nadda today said Prime Minister Narendra Modi has saved the people of the country from COVID-19 and also showed the way to the world. Addressing the state executive meeting of Maharashtra BJP via video conferencing, he said policy making and bold decisions can only be taken by a bold leader. Mr. Nadda said, under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, bold and timely lockdown was imposed, which had the wholehearted support of 130 crore Indians, and it also prepared them to fight against COVID-19. He said Western countries were in a state of confusion on whether to impose lockdown or not when the COVID-19 outbreak took place. He said the health systems of some of the most powerful countries crumbled due to the pandemic. Quoting the WHO chief, Mr. Nadda said India has not only addressed health issues but also economic issues. He further stated that the UN said the Garib Kalyan package and Atmanirbhar Bharat are exemplary steps which should be replicated by other countries.
In Indian Premier League cricket, opting to bat first after winning the toss, Sunrisers Hyderabad were 160 for no loss in 15 overs against Kings 11 Punjab at Dubai when reports last came in. Last night, Kolkata Knight Riders beat Chennai Super Kings by 10 runs in Abu Dhabi. In tomorrow's encounter, Rajasthan Royals will take on Delhi Capitals at Sharjah. In the women's single of the French Open tennis, Polish teenager Iga Świątek is a step away from a remarkable first Grand Slam after brushing aside Nadia Podoroska 6-2, 6-1 in her semi-final. The 19-year-old needed only 70 minutes to beat the Argentine, who was also a first-time major semi-finalist. The Pole will now face either Sofia Kenin or Petra Kvitova in the final. Świątek is the only second woman from Poland to reach the final at Roland Garros. The last was Jadwiga Jędrzejowska, who finished runner-up in 1939. In the men's singles semi-finals tomorrow, Rafael Nadal meets D. Schwartzman to seeded Novak Djokovic faces Stefanos Tsitsipas.
The 2020 Nobel Prize for Literature has been awarded to American poet Louise Gluck. A professor at Yale University, Gluck made her debut in 1968 with her collection titled Firstborn. She is seen as one of the most prominent poets and essayists in American contemporary literature. And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will have a mainly clear sky. It will have a minimum temperature of 19 degrees Celsius and maximum of 35 degrees. In Mumbai, partly cloudy sky will prevail. Minimum temperature will be 27 degrees, maximum 34. Chennai will experience generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Temperature will hover between 27 and 36 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will witness a partly cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain or thunderstorm. Minimum temperature in the metropolis will be 26 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be 34 degrees. On to the north, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature will be 19 degrees Celsius. In Jammu, while the maximum will be 34 degrees, the city will have a mainly clear sky. Srinagar will have a mainly clear sky. The temperature will hover between 5 and 27 degrees Celsius. In Ladakh, there will be mainly clear sky too. Minimum temperature will be -2 degrees Celsius, maximum 21 degrees. Gilgit will experience a partly cloudy sky. Temperature will hover between 7 and 29 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, there will be mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature will be 12. Maximum will be 32 degrees. In Dehradun, mainly clear sky will prevail. Temperature will hover between 18 and 33 degrees. In Chandigarh, the minimum temperature will be 19 degrees Celsius and maximum 35. Mainly clear sky will prevail. In Hyderabad, the minimum temperature will be 21 degrees Celsius, maximum 29. City will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. In Ahmedabad, minimum temperature will be 24, maximum 38. It will have a mainly clear sky. Patna will have a partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature in the city will be 27 degrees, while maximum will be 35. Guwahati will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Minimum temperature in the city will be 25 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be 34 degrees. And now, before we close, the headlines once again. Union Minister and Lok Janshakti Party patron Ram Vilas Paswan passes away. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserts India undertook structural reforms amidst global pandemic to usher in revolutionary changes in the country. Prime Minister launches Jan Andolan campaign on COVID-19 appropriate behaviour, urges people to wear a mask, wash hands and follow social distancing. Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadoria says Indian Air Force demonstrates its resolve, operational capability and will to effectively engage with the adversary when the need arises. And in Bihar, filing of nominations ends for first phase of State Assembly elections. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.